It began not with flashing cameras or a red carpet appearance, but with a phone call, two voices on opposite ends whispering about something never meant to go public. Yet this morning, at precisely 7:12 a.m. Eastern Time, a federal affidavit was unsealed, reopening a quiet case linked to a high-profile celebrity influence probe. No names, no mugshots, just a sterile case number and one haunting line in bold, called transcript subject, BL2 Fixer 42. Audio acquired via sealed wiretap, June 15, 2025. But for those who can decode Hollywood's language, BL doesn't stand for briefly listed. It points straight to Blake Lively, the same name tied to a guest list cleanup just weeks ago. You'll remember the footage, Jennifer Lopez's secret selection night dinner, a private, camera-free gathering where Lively was seen slipping inside uninvited. Now, it seems the FBI has been listening. The intercepted call lasted only 7 minutes and 12 seconds, but its contents could unravel years of buried deals, silent scandals, and the hidden machinery behind Blake Lively's discreet circle of Hollywood handlers. This wasn't public relations, it was damage control, pure and simple. The newly released wiretap reveals Blake phoned Hollywood's most infamous fixer mere hours after the Lopez scandal broke. And in the coded world of celebrity crises, that's DEFCON 1. The questions echo through every PR office in Los Angeles. What did Blake say? Why call a fixer? And who exactly is Girl No. 3-inch? As this unsealed document circulates through industry inboxes, panic spreads. Every publicist is scrambling. Every team is on alert. And Lopez herself? She's silent, because the evidence speaks louder than any statement could. Each deleted tweet, each crafted denial, and every misunderstood post now looks like a stitch in a much bigger cover-up. And while we work to uncover the rest, remember, every truth costs time to piece together. If you want to keep this investigation alive, hit that join button and support the channel. The tape may be short and muffled, but one chilling sentence cuts through the static with absolute clarity. We don't need another J.Lo incident. The voice is calm, precise, and on the other end, the man known only as Fixer 42, a legend in Hollywood's darkest corners, where reputations are erased, not repaired. How bad is it? The voice asks. Blake's reply is immediate. Bad enough, she left before dessert. Bad enough, girl 3 hasn't posted in 4 days.
You heard that right.
Silence isn't coincidence, it's control. When the fixer presses, don't let her, Blake cuts in. Let her what?
Speak.
Testify. Tell the world what really happened that night. If you've been paying attention to Jennifer Lopez's quiet restraint, you'll realize it was never apathy, it was strategy. She knew someone was being silenced before they ever had the chance to speak. Midway through the transcript, Fixer 42 mentions a list. You still have the soft copy, right? The one with the girl tears and roll alignment. Blake doesn't hesitate.
Yes.
But I renamed it and dumped it into the brand folder. That single line changes everything. It proves the infamous Lara tier list wasn't an isolated PR slip, it was a structured system, an ongoing strategy Blake kept alive long after the backlash. She didn't just want to contain a scandal, she wanted to erase a woman, the one they called Girl No. 3, before her name could ever surface. And when Jennifer Lopez walked out of that dinner early, it wasn't just a social slight, it was a signal. The moment the room understood. This isn't bad luck. This is a pattern. So Blake did what she always does, called the man who specializes in erasing problems, the one known across Hollywood's quiet corridors for making people disappear from contracts, lineups, and timelines. If Blake Lively still had that tier list after the J.Lo incident, then this stopped being about reputation management. This became about control and the quiet power of those who decide who stays visible and who vanishes. This was never about fashion, branding, or reputation, it was about control. And now, the woman Blake tried to silence may be the next one subpoenaed because Girl No. 3 isn't hiding anymore. The transcript identifies him only as Fixer 42, but in Hollywood, numbers are masks. Behind that alias stands a real man, Darren Cole. If the name doesn't ring a bell, that's intentional. Darren doesn't give interviews. doesn't walk red carpets, and doesn't appear in press archives. He exists only in the margins of Hollywood's darkest scandals, the ones never meant to see daylight. Back in 2016, when a young actress threatened to walk off a major franchise over proximity pressures, the case vanished before reaching court.
Why?
Because Darren Cole was called in. He negotiated her exit, disguised it as creative differences, and rebranded the story into a feminist marketing pivot. That phrasing, creative realignment for growth, later appeared in Blake Lively's leaked Delara files, and now we know why. She didn't coin it. She borrowed it from Darren. Headlines read, Actress exits blockbuster sequel amid creative realignment. Studio thanks her for integrity. Behind those polished words lay NDAs, silence, and erased evidence of misconduct. Darren Cole has operated in the shadows for years, and Blake didn't just call him in panic. She's worked with him before. 3 confirmed times. During a 2021 talent show whistleblower case, a 2023 Vogue shoot ethics inquiry, and a missing intern report from a luxury retreat in early 2024. None of those stories ever reached the public, until now. Darren's purpose was never to fix mistakes, but to erase the record they existed. In the unsealed call, his voice is steady as he asks, "Did you at least separate the girls post-event?" Blake replies, "We isolated Group 3 and rerouted comms." But, Jay, she sensed it. Isolated. Rerouted. Not styling directions, but operational commands, systematic language for managing people like assets. As if the young women in their orbit were not colleagues or collaborators, but controlled variables in a machine built to protect power. At that private dinner, the women weren't guests, they were assets to be sorted, not people. Darren didn't flinch when Blake spoke. He simply said, "We'll classify them as observational. Just don't let Girl 3 leak before we control the tags." Tags, like metadata, but these weren't attached to files. They were assigned to women. Girl number 3 had gone silent for days, no posts, no sightings, until last night. "We found her." She self-posted a selfie stamped June 14th with a caption that read, "Never again." Within 11 minutes, the post vanished, deleted, but not fast enough. Someone screenshotted it, sent it to a journalist, who passed it straight to the court. Now a subpoena might already be on its way. It's no longer about whether Blake Lively called a fixer. The question is how many times? Because buried in that unsealed affidavit lies a quiet footnote, pattern-based behavioral tagging across previous incidents. Translation: this wasn't Blake's first time using the system. And it wasn't just about Jennifer Lopez's private event. It runs deeper, far deeper. The FBI isn't looking at a single file but an entire archive, a folder of incidents dating back to 2019, all linked by what's labeled interpersonal disruption protocol. 4 unnamed actresses have already been identified across 4 separate cases. A former assistant leaked one of the tags she saw on a call sheet from an unsanctioned 2022 campaign dinner. Phrases like "dove tier," "keep visible," "she folds easy," and "crow tier." Minimize presence, attracts risk. That's not casting shorthand. It's an erasure manual. The FBI sees the pattern now. They're cross-referencing the leaked file with a canceled Netflix docuseries, a dropped cosmetics campaign, and a brand NDA violation tied to a wellness summit Blake once sponsored. Each project disappeared quietly. Each involved rising actresses who suddenly stopped working. 2 were known attendees at events linked to Blake's so-called Lara network. 1, a breakout star from Cannes, was reportedly in talks for a major Warner Brothers role until she posted a cryptic Instagram story that read, "Sometimes they don't blacklist you, they graylist you, and smile while they do it." Within 48 hours, her account vanished. She hasn't been seen since. When we trace the connections, the same fixer, Darren Cole, appeared again, the man who took Blake's call, also managing the fallout after Florence Pugh abruptly disappeared from a Dior campaign. Now the names are surfacing, big names, and if Florence was touched by the same system, this isn't about a single brand. It's about a network, a silent, precision-built power machine that decides who gets to stay visible and who quietly disappears. And the most terrifying part? Until this week, it was working flawlessly. Blake never expected the wiretap. She never expected Jay, that low, to walk out. She never expected girl number 3 to break silence with a single caption. And now, the entire system she used to filter women out of Hollywood is collapsing from within. Under 2 minutes of audio, but it's devastating. Because this time, it isn't Blake calling the fixer. It's the fixer calling someone else. And his words are clear. She asked if we could rerun the hall first. For months, everyone thought the FBI had one recording, one call, one file, one moment of panic. But there's another tape, one that was never supposed to exist. Because while the first recording came from a court-authorized wiretap, this second one wasn't sanctioned at all, and it changes everything. The second recording wasn't captured by the FBI. It was leaked from inside Blake Lively's own team. It's short, raw, but devastating. A male voice opens. I told her that was too risky. Then the call log appears. Fixer 42, June 17, 2025. For 48 p.m., she's scrambling, the fixer says. She wants the same structure we used after the Hathaway fallout. Push the mental health narrative. Blame exhaustion. Reinforce the women supporting women headline. A second, unidentified male voice responds. Does Lopez buy that? The fixer doesn't hesitate. She already walked, but girl 3 might, especially if we offer her something. Offer her something. 3 words that shift this from PR crisis management to potential witness tampering. What did offer mean? A role, a campaign, a payout? Whatever it was, the moment the clip surfaced, the FBI's focus changed. The case was no longer about media containment. It became a federal investigation into bribery, obstruction of justice, and witness suppression. Even worse, the phrase Hathaway script suggests this wasn't an improvised cover, it was procedure. If you remember the Anne Hathaway Oscar campaign controversy earlier this year, the quiet whisper campaign that painted her as unstable and fragile, the pieces now align. The same fixer, the same talking points, the same silence from the women affected. Blake's team wasn't improvising damage control, they were running a tested playbook. Weaponize sympathy, redirect blame, and erase accountability under the banner of female empowerment. Now the FBI has 2 confirmed calls, 2 distinct timelines, 2 erased careers, and 1 woman, Jennifer Lopez, who refused to participate. Which brings us back to that night, the now infamous selection dinner. The surveillance footage everyone's seen shows Lopez arriving radiant and composed, and leaving 43 minutes later, without a word.
But now we know why.
She didn't leave in anger. She left because she saw the script unfolding in real time. According to a stylist present that night, Lopez thought she'd been invited to honor Latina entrepreneurs. Instead, she walked into a dinner where women were seated by ranking, buzz level, desirability, PR value, and whispered cues like, she's too green, and get her to speak last circled the table. That quote hit FBI headquarters this morning, and now, Jennifer Lopez isn't just a witness to celebrity politics. She's being asked to testify because she saw the system working before anyone else dared to name it. Jennifer Lopez may be the only celebrity witness who saw the structure in action and chose to walk away. Her silence isn't passive, it's deliberate. Behind the scenes, she's already taken 3 calculated steps, withdrawn her name from the Aurora Mentorship Project, instructed her legal team to archive all correspondence related to the June 14th dinner, and quietly requested access to the venue's back hallway footage, the one showing Blake Lively meeting Fixer 42 in person. Yes, they met that night. This wasn't just a phone call, it was a physical rendezvous. A source inside the venue confirmed the side exit door opened only once that evening, and the timestamp matches perfectly with Blake's outgoing call to Fixer 42. Security logs recorded a male visitor entering through the kitchen. No name logged, no photo captured. Hours later, that same man's voice appears on the wiretap. He wasn't called in afterward. He was already there, waiting. This wasn't reaction, it was coordination. Now, the FBI has more than tapes. They have motive, timeline, and a credible witness who left not out of ego, but because she recognized exactly what was happening and refused to participate. Jennifer Lopez isn't just a bystander. She may be the keystone witness capable of dismantling an entire hidden network. What was supposed to be a glamorous, exclusive dinner, hosted by Blake Lively's foundation and a handful of discreet co-sponsors, was marketed as an evening of empowerment and mentorship. But the guest list, it turns out, wasn't designed for celebration. It was engineered for selection. Worse, some of the women on that list hadn't even been directly invited. They were scouted. According to an internal email leaked to Deadline Confidential, Blake's team used a visibility and influence index to curate attendees, ranking them on engagement metrics, brand compatibility, personal compliance history, and receptivity to strategic reframing. In plain terms, who was easiest to control? The email describes an evaluation matrix that classified guests into color-coded tiers, those to elevate, those to monitor, and those to minimize. Chillingly, several of the women later linked to Blake's graylisting network were present that night. Among them, a Gen Z TikTok star newly signed to a Netflix franchise. She hasn't posted since the event. Her agent has paused all bookings and, according to an insider, repeatedly asked who the man in the kitchen was, the one Blake reportedly described as being there for brand management. But one name on that list has now become central to the FBI's probe: Sofia Vergara. Her name appears clearly on the June 14th roster, yet she was never seen arriving or leaving. So we dug deeper. Sofia had RSVP'd, then canceled, 48 hours before the dinner. No reason given until today. A source close to her confirmed that her assistant previewed the event materials and flagged something unsettling: the tiered alignment language embedded in the internal planning document. The assistant told Sofia, "This isn't safe." That same assistant once worked for Reese Witherspoon, who, as our viewers know, has her own complicated history with Blake's quiet blacklist. Maybe that warning saved Sofia from being added to it. Because this wasn't a mentorship dinner. It was a sorting mechanism, a controlled environment designed to test, tag, and quietly decide which women would be elevated and which would be erased. And at the center of it all stood Blake Lively, smiling for photos, posing beside underpaid assistants, championing empowerment while standing mere feet away from the man hired to orchestrate disappearances. The guest list, once private, is now evidence, and what it reveals isn't a celebration of women in Hollywood, but a covert system of manipulation masquerading as mentorship. The system Jennifer Lopez saw, refused to condone, and walked away from, before it was too late. Every woman on that guest list is about to face a single, devastating question. Did you know what you were being selected for? Because the answer might change everything. For weeks, Ryan Reynolds has stayed quiet, posting memes, promoting gin, pretending normalcy, while Blake's name flooded headlines, dinner footage leaked, and FBI wiretaps were unsealed. But that silence just shattered. Late last night, a private message thread between Ryan Reynolds and Fixer42, Darren Cole, was leaked anonymously to a mid-tier entertainment blog, and it changes everything. The thread shows Ryan messaging Darren just hours after Blake's call. "We need to get in front of this," Ryan wrote. "Jay can't flip. Use the overbooked angle. She's done it before." Timestamp: June 15th, 2025, 11:27 p.m. Darren replied, "Copy." Setting up press line with a calendar clash excuse. No need for official quote, Ryan. Ryan's final message: "Not unless she talks. I don't think she will. Not yet." He knew. He knew Jennifer Lopez had seen something she wasn't supposed to. And instead of stopping the damage, he moved to control the story before it exploded. This wasn't passive silence. It was active orchestration. Ryan Reynolds wasn't an observer. He was a handler. Now, FBI investigators are tracing every digital exchange between Ryan and anyone tied to AAR events, publicists, consultants, and Darren Cole himself. Because Ryan's name doesn't just appear in the messages, it's listed in Cole's billing records, next to an entry reading, "Strategic Visibility Minimization." That's PR's shorthand for make it disappear. Ryan didn't just know about the cleanup, he funded it. Which means this isn't just about Blake Lively anymore. It's about a power duo who may have engineered an entire hidden system, one designed to elevate themselves by quietly dismantling everyone else. And now that system is under full federal review. The man who built a career as Hollywood's favorite wisecracking hero may have just become its quietest villain, The center of it all is the woman known only as Girl Number 3, the guest who vanished after the infamous dinner. No interviews, no sightings, no posts, except for one cryptic Instagram caption that lasted 11 minutes before deletion. For weeks, no one could even confirm her identity.
Until now.
Because last night, a 47-second video appeared in a locked Dropbox folder titled, "If I Go Missing, Start Here." In it, a young woman speaks directly to camera. Her voice trembles. The lighting is dim, the background a plain guest room. She never says her full name and never mentions Blake directly, but everything she describes aligns precisely with the FBI's sealed witness statements. "They said I'd get exposure," she says softly, "that it was just a branding dinner. But once I was inside, I realized it wasn't about what I brought, it was about how obedient I was. There were tears groups. I was told to stay quiet when certain actresses spoke. I was told I didn't photograph well next to legacy talent. Then I saw the man by the kitchen. I asked who he was and someone whispered, 'That's the guy who deletes you.' That single sentence has now burned itself across the internet. That's the guy who deletes you." Within minutes, the video was screen-recorded, mirrored, and reposted across Reddit, X, and private Discord servers for indie actors. The original Dropbox link vanished, but it was already too late. The message had spread. Girl Number 3 speaks. And with her words, the story shifted from scandal to systemic exposure. This isn't Hollywood gossip anymore. It's evidence of industrialized erasure. The FBI confirmed they're in contact with her. They've authenticated the metadata from the clip and traced its upload origin. Investigators also identified two other figures reflected in the mirror behind her. One, a stylist known to have attended the dinner. The other, a personal assistant employed by Blake at the time. That assistant is now missing, deleted her Instagram, quit her job, and left Los Angeles without warning. But Girl Number 3's final words in the video hint at why. "I wasn't the only one who wanted out. Someone else did too." For the first time, the pattern is undeniable. The dinner, the rankings, the silence, it all connects. A machine built to filter, manipulate, and erase women who didn't comply, disguised as empowerment. Now the facade is cracking. The FBI has the footage, the files, and now a voice. Girl Number 3 spoke, and in 47 seconds, she may have undone years of silence. "She helped me get my phone back after they tried to hold it for content control," Girl Number 3 says in her final line. "She told me to run. I hope she did too." By the time her 47-second clip went viral, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were already in motion. FAA flight records confirm a private jet departed Van Nuys Airport at 6:42 a.m., bound for a secluded estate in upstate New York. No press, no paparazzi, no manifest, just a sealed passenger list under the label Security Exception. Security concerns, or a silent escape. Because what happens when the people behind the curtain realize the curtain's been ripped away? The FBI isn't waiting to find out. Federal sources confirm formal requests have already been issued for all internal AAR communications from the past 6 months, a subpoena for Cole Consulting's financial records, and digital data from 2 production companies tied to Ryan's brand partnerships. This is no longer a PR nightmare, it's a federal investigation. Every actor, assistant, and influencer linked to that guest list will be contacted. The inquiry, now officially titled Operation Mirror House, is expanding. At least 6 witnesses are set to be interviewed this week. But the real twist? Blake and Ryan knew the leak was coming. Leaked scheduling documents show they abruptly canceled a Vanity Fair profile dated July 3rd, just 48 hours before the story broke. The internal email reads, "Due to anticipated media disruption, we're pulling the profile. We'll circle back when the heat dies down." That wasn't crisis management, it was preemptive disappearance. And now the industry is asking the inevitable question. Will there be charges? Too early to confirm. But here's what's verified. 3 audio recordings are under review. 2 witnesses have been granted legal protection, and 1 anonymous tip claims a 4th selection dinner, originally planned for August, has been postponed indefinitely. The house of mirrors they built is beginning to collapse. Let's recap. The unsealed FBI wiretap proved Blake Lively called a fixer after the private selection dinner. A second recording revealed the reuse of the infamous Hathaway script. A third showed Ryan Reynolds coordinating the fallout. Then came girl number 3, breaking her silence and confirming what many suspected all along. And now Jennifer Lopez may testify. This isn't a scandal. It's a system, an organized network of influence, manipulation, and quiet erasure that operated unchecked for years. They almost got away with it. But they underestimated the one thing Hollywood fears most: someone willing to speak. Jennifer did. Girl number 3 did. And now, more names are surfacing. Names of stars, executives, and insiders who smiled for the cameras while secretly keeping the receipts. Because once the FBI starts knocking, even Hollywood's brightest lights can't hide in the dark forever.